let's move on to the trade deadline, which was yesterday. Uh, a lot of trades happen, and we will not go over all of them because I think that could be its own episode, um,
Yeah,
which I don't want to do, to be honest. It'll be old
that's
news,
too many trades.
too many for sure. And to be honest with
Yeah,
you, I don't like trade talk. Honestly, for me,
you don't like trade.
it's like a Kanye rollout because Kanye will say he has a new album and he'll give a release date, but you don't know if it's true or not. That's how I feel about trade rumors. The Lakers will say that they will trade for DeJounte Murray, but will it actually happen? In this case, no. We just wasted our time coming up with fake trades for a player that's not even that good. So that's how I feel about it. I feel like it's cool when something actually happens, but when nothing happens, I feel like it's a little lame. But there was some
Hey,
good trades that
yeah,
happened.
I was gonna say I agree. Like, I think that some trade rumors in terms of like coming up with trade proposals could be fun, but at a certain point, it's like a lot of the times it's just fantasizing to the point where it doesn't end up happening at the end. So I could
Yeah,
get where you're coming from.
yeah. So we'll do this since we don't have a lot of time. What are some of your favorite trades that happened during the trade deadline? Of course, there were other trades that happened, like the OG trade that really helped out the Knicks. Pascal Siakam is with the Pacers now. We never talked about that, but he's doing his thing there. Terry Rozier is with the Heat, which at the moment is a little shaky, but I'm sure he could win them a game in the playoffs. But based off of the trades that happened yesterday, what were some of your favorites?
I think that one of the biggest trades is the Sixers trading for Buddy Hield. Granted, they gave up some pieces, but I don't think the pieces that they gave up were that crazy, honestly. They gave up Furkan Korkmaz, um, Marcus Morris, and some cash, I believe, and maybe draft picks. Not that crazy, honestly. Getting a guy like Buddy Hield is definitely well worth that cost. So, not a bad move for the Sixers there, getting Buddy Hield.
Especially since
I think
Embiid is out, they're missing 35 points a game basically. So he'll definitely help out getting some points. Not
yeah,
35, but he'll help out for sure.
definitely. Also, the Sixers have been on a losing streak lately, so anything could help for sure. Um, Another big trade that I think was really good was the Knicks trading for Bojan Bogdanovic and Alec Burks. In the process, they gave up Evan Fournier, Malachi Flynn, Quentin Grimes, Ryan Arcidiacono, two future second round picks and cash considerations. Honestly, it sounds like a lot of names they gave up on paper, but I don't think any of them are like crazy
Quentin
ones.
Grimes is
So
pretty
like,
good. He'll
he's
definitely help
good,
out
yeah,
the Pistons. But yeah, this is for sure
yeah.
my favorite trade from yesterday. I think the Knicks just elevated themselves to another level because one of the things that they were lacking, especially after the OG trade, was their bench help. After trading away quickly and Barrett, uh, their bench kind of started to suck a little bit. Alec Burks and especially Boyan Bogdanovic is gonna help a lot. I'm a big Boyan fan. I had him on my fantasy team last year, so I know he could be a bucket, and I'm sure he will help out the Knicks, especially with OG out. He'll definitely help out offensively. So definitely my favorite trade of the night.
Yeah. And then after that, I think that another trade that was pretty big was the Suns trading for Royce O'Neal and David Roddy in the three-team trade with Memphis and Brooklyn. In the process, they just gave up a 2026 first round pick swap to Memphis. They also gave the Grizzlies Chimezi Metu and Yuta Watanabe. The Nets received Keita Bates Diop, Jordan Goodwin, draft rights, and three second round future picks. Overall, I think the Suns definitely got better in this process, knowing Royce O'Neal is a really decent wing, and David Roddy is a pretty good young stud as well. Seeing Royce get traded to the Suns definitely made me like, it was like, damn it, I didn't like that happen, but credit to them, it was a good move, honestly.
Yeah, it was a great move.
And
Like a lot of their bench players were not really helping out, so Rose O'Neal and David Roddy are definitely gonna improve their bench.
definitely, and a few more trades I think that were big. And I think this one was sneaky good, honestly. It was the Celtics trading for Xavier Tillman. And in the process, they gave up Lamar Stevens, a 2027 second round pick, and a 2030 second round pick. They didn't really give up anything too crazy. Xavier Tillman is a pretty decent big man. He had some flashes in the first round series against the Lakers last year for Memphis. Um, yeah, pretty much Celtics adding big man depth, something that they needed. I think that was a sneaky good move.
Oh yeah,
Unfortunately, it was.
that's true. We know Kristaps gets injured a lot. Horford is getting up there in age, so a backup big like Tillman is gonna help them a lot.
hmm And I think there was just one other trade that kind of stood out to me a little bit, and it was the trade between the Bucks and the Sixers that sent Patrick Beverley to Milwaukee, and 76ers got Cameron Payne in a 2027 second round pick. I think that this trade potentially could help both teams. Um, Bucks getting a defensive anchorer and a player that would get under the opponent's skin versus the Sixers, they also get a younger guy. I mean, personally, I feel like Cam Payne probably is the better player between the two. But Patrick Beverly is the one that brings more of a toughness, I believe. So potentially this could be a good move for both teams, I think. Particularly the Bucks maybe needing some more defensive toughness after losing Drew Holiday. And also, of course, Doc and Patrick Beverly having the continuity. That could potentially be a good thing too. I see memes about like saying Doc Rivers will use Patrick Beverly the same way as Darvin Ham and Torian Prince playing favorites. We'll see. It's possible, but I think that's potentially a move that will help both contenders in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, I almost forgot about this trade, but yeah, this was definitely one of the better trades I think because the Bucks desperately needed good defense, especially uh their perimeter defense lacks with Lillard and Beasley as your two starting guards. The defense there is abysmal, so Patrick Beverly is gonna help out a lot, and they weren't really playing Cameron Payne like that either. So trading him away and a second round pick is not too bad for Patrick Beverly, and I'm sure the Sixers are willing to take a chance on Cameron Payne, especially since he was pretty good with the Suns, which wasn't too long ago. So, yeah, I think a good trade overall. I'm surprised you haven't mentioned, or you might have uh, been planning to mention, the Thunder trade from yesterday. How they
Oh
were.
yeah,
You want to go over
that
it?
trade. Yeah. So OKC Thunder they traded for Gordon Hayward. In the process, they gave up Vasilije Micic, Trey Mann, Davis Bertans, 2020 second round pick via Houston, and 2025 second round pick via Sixers. Um, I didn't think of this as like a really crazy trade, knowing that Gordon Hayward is really injury prone and he's not quite the same player as he was like, let's say 7 years ago, 2017, 2016. I think that was his prime. But knowing that OKC is a young team that's already really good, currently third seed in the Western Conference, and should end up with a really high seed, I think the fact that they're trying to take a gamble on a guy like Hayward isn't really a bad thing, especially because most of those guys they gave up weren't really like crazy. Like for example, Trey Mann has shown flashes, and Davis Bertans is a pretty good 3-point shooter. But taking a chance on Gordon Hayward, I say it's a low risk, high reward type of move in a sense like if he gets hurt, that'll be bad, but at least he didn't give up like two crazy pieces. If he can stay healthy and like play at least like a decent six-man type role, that could potentially be a sneaky good move. Honestly, I didn't really think too much about this trade initially, but it could potentially be good for OKC.
Yeah, I really like it for OKC. Yeah, Gordon Hayward does get injured a lot. He hasn't played since December, but when healthy, he could be a really good player. Not all star Gordon Hayward, but he could maybe possibly win OKC a game or two in the playoffs. And I think it's not even a risk because I think his contract is expiring this season, so they don't have to pay him long term after this season, which is good if it doesn't work out. Um,
Definitely.
any other traits you want to bring up that are more on like the
Um,
good side? There's one I'm thinking of,
I
but
feel like I feel like during the trade deadline, those are the main like bigger trades. The other ones are kind of just like whatever. Of course, like a few days before the trade deadline or a week before a trade deadline was when the Rockets and the Grizzlies made the trade that sent Steven Adams to Houston and gave Memphis Victor Oladipo and 3 second round picks. Pretty much um Steven Adams is injured right now. When he isn't injured, he's really good. And Victor Oladipo has a history of being injury prone, but when he isn't injured, he's also usually pretty good. So it's one of those type of trades that like I guess both teams are somewhat taking a gamble on an injury guy, and then we'll see what Memphis does with Victor. Maybe they'll get rid of him, maybe they'll keep him. I don't know. But this was kind of like a whatever trade, but more about like teams looking down the road, I guess. Like in the sense Rockets could get Steven Adams when he's healthy, maybe next season or maybe even late this season. Don't know his timetable. And then Grizzlies getting some picks from the trade. Teams looking into the future.
well, the last trade I do want to mention that was I thought was pretty good yesterday. Maybe I missed it. Maybe you did mention it already. But the Mavs adding PJ Washington from the Hornets.
Oh, I didn't mention that.
Yeah, the Mavs
So go ahead.
received PJ Washington and two second round picks. The Hornets received Grant Williams, Seth Curry, and a 2027 first round pick. And I thought it was a good trade for the Mavs to get PJ Washington, who at his best is a really good 3-and-D player, which is going to be important for um, the Mavs moving forward. We know that they like to shoot threes, and defense is something that they need to work on. And if PJ could uh, play good defense again, I'm sure he will help out the Mavs. And also, I heard a lot of talk about how a lot of the players, the organization, just were tired of Grant Williams. They just didn't vibe with Grant Williams. So I guess they shipped his chunky ass all the way to Charlotte. And yeah, I guess that's a win in my eyes. I think PJ will definitely help out the Mavs.
Definitely. Yeah. So I think that in terms of the trade deadline, we mentioned most of the biggest moves that happened yesterday. Of course now a lot of teams are looking over to the buyout market. Some of the top candidates for the buyout market probably there's a list of guys like maybe Kyle Lowry, Spencer Dinwiddie, Evan Fournier, Davis Bertans, Marcus Morris, Harris, Danilo Gallinari. List goes on. So we'll see what happens with those players. Obviously teams like the Lakers who didn't make any moves, they're gonna want to look at the buyout market. Hopefully we can get someone from that list.
I
Is
heard
there
that
is there
Spencer Dinwiddie was what the Lakers were looking at, and I believe
I
the
heard, yeah.
Sixers were thinking about getting Lowry.
Yeah, I heard about those rumors. What are your thoughts on the Lakers potentially getting Dinwiddie? I'm kind of like mixed on it. Like what it's whatever.
I'm fine with it. I mean, he at his best, he's pretty good. He's a good
Yeah.
scoring option, and we do have injuries. Like we've had injuries throughout the season. Gabe Vincent has barely played this season, so adding him on will definitely help, especially with like the injury insurance. Um, but yeah, but there's a reason why he gets traded all the time. A lot of people don't like him, but on Twitter, I've heard that he like kind of does want to be a Laker. Like,
I
uh,
heard, yeah.
so if he's willing to be a Laker and willing to try, then I'm willing to accept him as a Laker.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that I'd be okay either way, honestly. If he comes, cool, I guess. If he doesn't come, I'm also okay with it. But if there were any other guys that Lakers could consider, I think that, for example, Marcus Morris maybe wouldn't be a bad ad. Of
Mm-hmm.
course, he's not the same Marcus Morris as a few seasons ago, but he's still decent bench player, I think.
Yeah.
And Danilo Gallinari, he's old now, but he's still a decent three-point shooter, which is something the Lakers could definitely use. Maybe same for Davis Bertans, another good three-point shooter. Um, I heard rumors of the Lakers potentially being interested in Lowry. I'm not sure about that one because he's not the same as before. He's older now, you name it.
Yeah, we need a
But
scoring option, not a
yeah,
defender, which I feel like that's what Lowry kind of is. Even though, I
yeah.
don't know, but we need a shooter,
hmm
and I think especially Dinwiddie can shoot a bit, and he is a good scoring option.
Yeah. But I did hear there was like apparently something about some of the top contenders that I guess have some cap issues. Bucks, Celtics, Clippers, Heat, Nuggets, Suns, and Warriors would not be able to sign players that are making at least $12.4 million via the buyout market. And that includes some of those names I mentioned
Oh,
earlier. Kyle Lowry, Spencer Dinwiddie, Evan Fournier, Davis Bertans, Marcus Morris, and Joe Harris. Um, so I guess that boosts certain lower tier teams' chances from signing those players. But we'll see what happens if
yeah,
they even get bought out in the first place. Because
yeah,
who knows? Maybe some of those teams want to keep those guys, even if they don't have much of a reason to. But should definitely be interesting keeping an eye on the NBA buyout market.
yeah. We'll see. And I guess to wrap up this part, who do you think was the biggest winner and biggest loser?
Let's see. I think that probably biggest winner, okay, maybe the Knicks.
I
I
think so
mean,
too.
Boyan and Burks, pretty good.
OG from
Another,
a few weeks ago as well. That's already helped them a
yeah,
lot.
definitely. Like he's injured now, but he was playing really good, and when he comes back, they're just gonna go right off the momentum.
Yeah.
Um, Even like the Sixers getting Buddy Hield, I think that was pretty good. Um, as far as losers go, I haven't really put too much thought into that one, but potentially there were some teams that, for example, either didn't do too much or they were more so unloading and getting players. Um, Honestly, I'm not too sure about a loser at the moment.
I got a couple ideas. Um,
Yeah, I mean, you can consider the Lakers as
yeah,
losers for not making a move, for example.
but
But we'll see after the buyout market if that
yeah,
changes.
but at the same time, what
Uh,
move could have they done to help the season? I don't.
I don't
I think
know.
we're cooked. I think it's over. There's nothing we could have done to improve our season. I think. But my biggest
We'll
loser
see.
for the trade deadline, Killian Hayes. He wanted to be traded
Oh yeah, I forgot.
from the Pistons, and instead he got waived because no one wants him, and I could see why. He sucks at his job. So he's waived now. We'll see what happens to him, but it's kind of funny how that happened.
Yeah. Imagine he gets signed by the Lakers.
Oh God, no, thank you.